All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Inspec Indexing Search and Inspec Analytics on EBSCOhost intro webinar. I am Nawata Pinikan, Southeast Asia Marketing Coordinator of EBSCO, and I will be the session moderator today. For our webinar, we aim for participants to learn about IET Inspec and Inspec Analytics and how it is enhanced on EBSCOhost. Beforehand, on to our presenter, we just would like to remind all of you about our webinar guidelines. The first point, all of participant microphone and video are turned off by the default. Second, if you have questions on the topic, please type in on Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. Third point, question will be read at the end of the presentation. This will ensure a smooth flow and to not interrupt our speaker. And fourth point, after the session, we will have the post-webinar survey. We would like to ask for your kind cooperation to please help complete the survey. And the last point, please sit back, listen, and have fun learning experience with us. And next, let me introduce our speaker today, Mr. Adrian, Business Development Manager of Asia Pacific from Inspec and Publishing. Hey, Adrian, handing this over to you.
All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you to the EBSCO team to arrange the session. And of course, thank you to all of you. I treasure your time. As Laurent had mentioned that we try to make it fun. So the session is for us to share what we can get from Inspec on EBSCOhost, and also how we could use the Inspec indexes to get the best search results. And I will also talk about our latest search enhancement in our Inspec Analytics. So as introduced, I worked for IET for many years. I'm based in Hong Kong, and I used to travel quite a lot and meeting some of the users, meeting the professors and the librarians. But we all know what happened in the last 1.5 years. But it's a good chance that we could meet online. So I hope you will have some fun in the next hour. And I'll go through some demos as well on the EBSCOhost platform. So let me just start with a PowerPoint. I believe that you all can see, and yeah, that's right. So just introducing IET. It stands for the Institution of Engineering and Technology. We used to call the IEE. We changed our name in 2007 to IET because we start to publish more books and journals on other topic areas. So we used to focus on E&E engineering, but we publish more on the other topics area of engineering and also on technology, like telecommunications, aerospace, energy, environment, even healthcare, transportation. So we expand a lot in the subject areas. So that's why we changed our name to IET. And we are based in UK. You can see that we are one of the leading engineering society with near to 170,000 members in over 100 countries. So you can see that we got the organizational website, www.theiet.org. In case if you like to know more about our members, membership tiers, or you're interested to join IET, or you more would like to check what sort of events are available in your countries, then you can always visit our website. In terms of the content, we provide 3 types of content. Of course, we focus on Inspec. You can see that we got 2 major collections. So what most of the libraries they currently subscribe is the current files. So all the Inspec content from 1969, we got over 20 million records available in EBSCOhost, and those 20 million records are not published by IET. We actually source content from over 4,500 journal titles, and of course a lot of other publications like conferences and books and dissertations. And we actually those 4,500 journals are from more than 1,000 publishers. So it's a combination of all the expertise from the major publishers and major content providers. So we formed a database called Inspec. And we also got the archive collection. So anything before 1969 is called the Inspec archive. So we start to publish the physics abstract back in 1898. And that's the start of Inspec, the physics abstract. So that's more than 130 years, or near to 130 years of content in Inspec. And then we got the books and the journals, and we also got a video database in IET.tv. We are going to focus on Inspec today. So in case you haven't heard of Inspec, it's the name of the database. It's one of the leading abstract and indexing database spanning over 120 years. So as I mentioned, near to 130 years. It's not new. It's not a new database. Many of the professors, when they studied, they use Inspec quite a lot. And also the database is for scientists, engineers. So Inspec is not a general database which cover many disciplinary subject areas. It's focused on science and technology and also physics. And also it's a research database. It's for the postgraduates and research level academics. And then there are some distinctive features. So in any databases, they may compete in the width, but we more focus on the depth. So what I mean is that all the contents which we got from other publishers, we don't just throw everything in. We select the journal titles. We even go to the stage that we select which particular articles from that journal title are to be included in Inspec. So all the content have been expertly selected. And then the coverage. So Inspec currently is the largest abstract database in engineering, sciences, and computing. And I would say that the third point is the major difference. Why many of the users, they treasure Inspec. Many librarians, they keep subscribing to Inspec, is that we got very in-depth indexes to help the users to get the best search results and also to know more about the search areas. So this is the major difference why Inspec is different to other databases. So as I mentioned, Inspec covers on physics. You can see there is actually quite a sizable collection of articles on the physics and other sciences. Some of the students, they may thought that Inspec is just on engineering, but you can see that the spread of the contents is focused on three main subject pillars: physics, engineering, and also computing and control. So this slide will mention about the indexes that we have a team of near to 300 indexes. So each of them are subject experts in a wide range of scientific and engineering subject areas. So what I mean is that the indexes, they will go through the articles or the content and select which item to be included in Inspec. That's the first step. And then secondly, they will also install indexes on each of the article. Like for example, in the second point, the indexes will install classification coding and install control terms and other indexes. Okay, so all these indexes are installed by the indexes to reflect the author's approach or the main concept of the documents. Okay, and then you may mention that, every database in the record, they have some sort of keywords or similar. But I will explain that the Inspec indexes are much different to the keywords, in which I will do some demos to illustrate. Okay, and then the third point is that our indexes also make sure the content quality. As I mentioned, that we select content based on the relevancy on the three main subject pillars. And then they also make sure that they build the control term, the thesaurus structure. So each of the control term will have their own structure to help the users to better understand the search concept. okay? So we add value to each of the Inspec records. As you can see, this is a sample record of Inspec. We don't just include, although it's abstract, each of the record, we certainly include the author details, the name of the journal, where it came from, and also the abstract. But some of the field that we added, like the control term, we even add the IPC. So it stands for the International Patent Coding. So in case if the indexes think that this article deals with specific patent code, then they will add the patent code. So even though the author of the paper may not include the patent code, but based on our indexes expertise, we install the patent code. So when users, you go into the searching, you'll be better, you will be able to obtain the most comprehensive results. So you don't miss out on any relevant records. So in case if you search on the patent code, if the author, they didn't include the patent code, they didn't when they write up the paper, you will miss out on that record. But because of our Inspec indexes, we add the patent code associated with that record already. So when you go to input the patent code to search, you will still get the record. So that's the whole essence of indexes. We make sure that the users, they get the best result. And also save time, and I'll illustrate why. So this is a funnel program which I think will best summarize what the index, how the indexes can help. Based on your research areas, you use different indexes until you get to the most comprehensive or to the most relevant content. So before I start the demo, we work with EBSCO for many years. Inspec is available on EBSCOhost for a long time. Many of the leading libraries in Southeast Asia and also in the world globally, they access Inspec on EBSCOhost because I list out some of the factors that, especially in Southeast Asia, there have in terms of the support, there have been very good support from the EBSCOhost team. The EBSCO team have provided best support, and also many of the users, you already have been accessing EBSCOhost to check on the content for a long time. So in case you like to subscribe to Inspec, you like to access Inspec, then certainly you would like to go for a familiar platform. So certainly EBSCOhost have this advantage. Okay, and I believe that for the librarians, some of the libraries, you subscribe to Scopus. There's always the arguments that I heard from some of the librarians that if they subscribe to Scopus, then they need Inspec. I wouldn't judge on anything, but the fact is that Scopus, they are multidisciplinary databases in which they cover multiple subject areas. Inspec covers more on the sciences and the technology and the engineering content. So whether the library want to pay for some of the lesser used content, or you rather spend the budget on the most appropriate database, then it will be the library decision. Okay, and also the indexing will makes a big difference. Okay, Scopus don't have in-depth indexes like what Inspec can offer. So there's also a big pricing difference in case if you are evaluating whether to subscribe to Scopus or Inspec. So just quickly introduce, I think talking about thesaurus, it would be best that we go to the platform itself. This is an EBSCOhost platform. I believe that some of you have been using that quite extensively. In case you'd like to know more about the platform, then of course you can consult with the EBSCO team. I'm not a platform expert. I'm an Inspec expert, so I just talk more about the Inspec indexes. So in Inspec, we got the thesaurus structure. So this is different to the keyword. So when I want to make a search, say for example, I want to search on anything on power amplifier. Just as an example. So of course, I'll get some results. I search on Inspec. If power amplifier is mentioned anywhere in the paper, then it will come up. So I got 43,000. But the thing is, I'm not quite sure whether power amplifier is the key concept of the document. So first step in using Inspec is that I will search on the best term to represent power amplifier. So I go to thesaurus, and then I try to find out the Inspec headings. So Inspec heading is the same as Inspec control term. Okay, so I'm trying to find out the best term which represent a power amplifier. So I can see a list of the relevant control term or Inspec headings associated with power amplifier. In case if I'd like to see more, see if okay, I'm not sure if you're interested in anyone. Say for example, I'd like to know more about on UHF power amplifiers. Then this is what makes the difference, because keywords doesn't provide the users this in-depth structure. So in case if I'm not quite sure what is UHF power amplifiers, the Inspec thesaurus structure will help the users to know more. I will know if there are any broader concept, if there are any related concept to UHF power amplifier. Okay, so it will help the users to identify the best term to search. So what about if I'd like to know more about UHF power amplifier is too narrow, or maybe I'd like to know the related term, microwave power amplifiers. So now I could cross-link to another Inspec headings, which is called the microwave power amplifiers. Okay, so I will know the broader concept and the narrow concept. So by reviewing this thesaurus structure, I can make sure that I will choose the best term to search. And also it helps me to increase my knowledge in the whole concept of power amplifiers. And another important purpose in using thesaurus search is that I'll make sure the search term is the key concept of the document. So I'll add that microwave amplifiers. Because as I mentioned, when I search on power amplifier, it may not be the key concept. It may just be mentioned one or two times in the article, but it's not the key concept of what the author means. So by searching on the Inspec headings, I could make sure that the search term is the key concept of the document. So I got 8,000 something articles. When I go to individual record, I'll know the authors, I'll know where the authors are based in, and also the source of the article and the complete abstract. And here you go, you can see a list of the Inspec headings. And microwave amplifiers is one of the Inspec headings. And then below that, you also see a list of the indexes, key phrase headings, classification codes, international patent classifications, and the numerical data and all of that. All of these are added value indexes installed by Inspec indexes. So for other databases, you see the top part. Okay, that's all you know. Okay, but if you search on Inspec, it will brought much more ideas in terms of what this article is about, because our indexes already assigned many indexes to reflect, as I mentioned, the author's approach or what this article is related, is focusing on. So we can see that, oh, actually this article focused on certain patent codes. Okay, all these patent codes may not be mentioned in the article itself. The author may not mention all of it, but because based on our expertise, based on the indexes expertise, they assign all this patent coding to reflect the main concept which had been mentioned in this article. Okay, so that's the concept, how we could use the indexes to broaden our knowledge, and also to make sure that this article is really what we are looking for. Okay. I'm going back to the PowerPoint. So in the PowerPoint, I use the term rock as an example. So if I search on rock, say in general, if I search on rock, I got some results, but I'm not sure. I cannot be assured that rock itself is a key concept, because the term rock can have many different meanings, like rock star, rock music, rock related to like rock can even be the surname of the author. So I need to make sure that the term rock is the key concept. That's why I use the Inspec thesaurus, search on the best term on related to rocks. So I find that rocks itself is a Inspec heading. And then from the thesaurus structure, I get more understanding on the term rocks. So this is how I can narrow down my research. And let's say for this sample article, I find that rocks itself is an Inspec headings. Okay, so I'm going to introduce one of the key index, which a lot of the chemistry people, they will use, is the Inspec chemical indexing. Because when users, I'm not sure for some of you may be involved in chemical engineering, many of the users, they mentioned if they search on general databases, they enter the chemical symbol. For example, if I like to search on cobalt, okay, cobalt is the chemical symbol is CO. Okay, so if I enter CO in the search box in other databases, of course I'll get some results. I'll get some articles. But CO could also have lots of other meanings. CO stands for company. CO may stands for cooperation, and CO. I think CO actually is another is the chemical symbol for another chemical substance called carbon monoxide. Okay, so if I enter CO, I may get some misleading results. When I review, I'll find some articles on carbon monoxide, but it's not my topic. I want to search on articles on cobalt. So in other databases, you don't have the tool. But if you search on Inspec, there's the chemical indexing. If you enter in the standard format based on the chemical roles, then you will be assured that the articles retrieved will only focus on cobalt. For a quick example, let's go back to the platform so we could get a further look. So I search on cobalt on Inspec, just without any indexes, or just like on other databases. Then of course I get lots of results, too much. So if I search on CO, let's see what happens. So I even get more, lead to 1 million records. And those 1 million records, many of them are irrelevant. So Inspec chemical indexing will help to narrow down the result, narrow down the research. If I select chemicals, and if I search on cobalt, then cobalt itself is an element. So I enter CO/EL. Okay. Of course, for first-time users, you need to check, or you need to learn the standard format. But for the second time and the expert users, once you know the chemical roles, then it will be much easier to use the Inspec chemical indexing to search, because it could make sure that you get the most relevant records. So if we search on it, look at the record, we got 36,000. So here in the record, our indexes had also assigned a list of the chemical substance that is associated with this paper. Okay, you'll find CO/EL within here. So this is CO/EL. So this is unique to Inspec. Only Inspec will have chemical indexing, especially for the chemist to search on chemical substance or chemical compound. Okay. And I think for the other one, which I mentioned, there's the same chemical symbol, CO, also stands for carbon monoxide. Since carbon monoxide is a binary, element. So I think the format to enter is CO/BIN. I use the Inspec chemical indexing again, and here I get a different set of results, 74,000. So all these papers will focus on carbon monoxide and not cobalt, because our indexes had already gone through the paper and assigned a different chemical index on it. So you can see that it's all CO/BIN. There's no CO/EL. So it's these papers, you can be assured that not related to cobalt, but focusing on carbon monoxide. So when we go to the search history, we can better see that how we narrow down our results from 158,000 to individual articles on those two chemical substance, or carbon monoxide and cobalt. So this is what the slide is mentioning. You get a standard format to enter. And there's also the numerical indexing, in which another unique indexing to Inspec, which help the users to solve the problem when the author, they use different quantities, different units, or different values. I'm not sure if you're aware that because the author, when they write up the article, we may have the assumption based on our knowledge or based on our geographical areas that we always, like for me, for example, I always treat temperature. I use Celsius, but like in the US, they use Fahrenheit or Kelvin. I'm not quite sure, but like different authors, they use different units. They use different quantities. Like in time, when we want to check on articles on time, we may always use minute or seconds. But some of the authors, they may think that hour is the standard unit. So in how we can solve this problem in searching is that we use the Inspec numerical indexing, and this is another unique index only to Inspec, which for the users to use. I enter in a particular format, chosen unit, chosen quantity, in order to eliminate all the uncertainties. So what I mean is that if the author, when they write up the article, they use, say if it's an article dealing with time, if the author, they use seconds, but I want to search based on hour, and I will change the hour to seconds, because the standard unit in, if I search on numerical indexing is under time is seconds. So for the users, I'll change my unit to time, to seconds, and then I enter in the right format, and it will make sure that I get the complete result. Otherwise, if I don't use Inspec numerical indexing, I will miss out on those records in which the author, they use different units than what I used to search on. I use hour, but the author, if they write in seconds, then I will miss out on those records. So this is another advantage in using the Inspec numerical indexing. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to share another case studies. So as I mentioned, I'll do some more demos. So this is how we could use the Inspec classification codes and chemical indexing and also the IPC code to get to the most relevant articles. Okay, this is just some background information of chemical indexing, what we have gone through on the slides. And I haven't talked about Inspec classification. So this is a five coding level structure system that we installed. So it's unique to Inspec. It will help the users to make their search to very specific subject areas based on the code. Here we get to the lowest level, fourth and the most specific level of classification. Okay. This is an example based on research from KMUTT, the King Mongkut in Thailand. Of course, I understand that some of you are not in Thailand, but it's just an example how Inspec will help to in your researchers. Okay, so we got lots of researchers on from KMUTT on chemical engineering. I got an example here on cobalt alloys. Okay, so what cobalt alloys is used for? I find that many of the cobalt alloys is are very, as I mentioned in the article, that is one of the essential engineering material used in many of the implants and medical surgeries. Of course, I'm not an expert in this area, but I'm just trying to provide a scenario, a background. So for us to better understand how Inspec can help you to find the most related articles on a very specific area. So I'm trying to find out those articles which focus on the deformation of cobalt alloy with the patent code installed. Okay, so in case if you're not a subject expert, don't worry about it. We don't know the patent code, and I'll go through and how we could find it. Okay, so this is the question or the goal that we are trying to find out the most relevant articles. Okay, of course we could find it from Google, but we all know the problem that although they have the tools to sort or filter, but still too many articles. Even if I search on a general topic or generally on Inspec, even on Inspec on EBSCOhost, I enter. That's how I often go to do search deformation of cobalt alloy. And even if I mention the specific patent code, I still get 62,000 records. They're way too much. So I need to select specific indexes. Okay. So first step in using the combination of the indexes is I will go to the Inspec guides and support. Where it is, let me just back to the Inspec website. So instead of installing into the EBSCOhost platform, the users will refer to the guides and support from the IT platform itself. So I go to intelligence and research, and then I go to Inspec. And then we go to the guides and support. And of course, the users can download the particular PDF documents. So they don't need to go to the website every time they go to search. So let us go to the IPC code. I'm trying to find out the code which are associated with cobalt alloys. Okay, so I go to search cobalt. Okay, cobalt. So we got a lot of patent coding associated with alloys. And if I want to search on articles which have been installed a particular patent code associated with cobalt alloy, I will choose this one, C 22C19/00. The patent code for alloys based on nickel or cobalt. Okay. Remember, it's based on nickel and cobalt. Okay, so I will copy that and then copy that in. And then I'll go back to the search itself. And then select the index, patent class code. Okay, and remember the patent code reflects the alloys based on nickel or cobalt. So I just want to search on the articles with that patent code, but also only on cobalt. I don't want those nickel alloys. So what I can do next is use chemical index. Remember, it will help me to eliminate those records on other chemicals. So I'll use chemical indexing, and then I'll enter CO/EL. So I'm searching on articles which only deals with cobalt and been installed the patent coding alloys based on nickel and cobalt. Okay, so I'm using a combination of two indexes. So I'll get some results, just a bit over 1,000 records. And then when I go to the record itself, again, as I mentioned, I'll see the basic bibliographic details and the abstracts, but there are lots of Inspec headings, classification coding, which help me to understand what this article is about, even into very niche areas. Because when you see the classification codes, it's really into very small specific subject areas. And also C22C19/00 has been installed associated with the paper. Because most often when you search on paper, although it's on cobalt alloy, that it may not have the patent code associated with it. And because our indexes, based on his or her expertise, think that these articles really focus on cobalt alloys, then it will install the patent code. Okay, so as I mentioned, when I look to chemicals, I can see that /EL. Okay, so this is one way we use the combination of the IPC and also the chemical indexing of Inspec in getting to narrow down my search. Okay, and remember, both IPC and the chemical indexing is unique to Inspec. You don't get it from Scopus, you don't get it from other databases. It's unique to Inspec. Okay, so when I go back to the record set itself, 1,000 is still too much to review. So I could use the functionality of EBSCOhost to narrow down based on the publication types and also the publisher. And when you see here, I could also further narrow down based on the classification, the Inspec classification coding. So remember the goal, the topic is to find out the articles which focus on the deformation of cobalt alloy and with the patent code installed. So we've done the two steps. We want to find out the articles on deformation of cobalt alloy. So we try to use the classification and see if we could find the right classification code to reflect deformation. When we scroll down, oh, here we go. So in Inspec, because of the 5-level structure, there are over 3,500 classification codes, which drills into very specific subject areas. And this is how I could further narrow down my search by selecting the Inspec classifications. And then I narrowed down to 67 articles. So when I check on the article itself, you can see all these indexes are included, including the IPC and also the chemicals indexing. So it's based on CO/EL and the IPC code, and also with the classification code assigned it. So this 67 articles is the most relevant content from Inspec, which focus on the deformation of cobalt alloys. It's very important, this topic, if you are engaged in medical, in the building of the plasters, since we make sure that the cobalt alloy won't be deformed. Of course, as I mentioned, I'm not the subject expert, but based on your subject expertise, say if you want to search on numbers, you use numerical indexing to make sure only the relevant articles are being retrieved. And this is how we use the Inspec indexes to narrow down our search. Of course, as I mentioned, based on your subject expertise, you use different indexes. You can see here there are lots of other indexes. Okay, some of them are in general from EBSCOhost platform, and some of it are unique to Inspec, numerical data, and we could search based on the Inspec headings. Or I could even search based on the classification codes. Okay. So let me just quickly demonstrate. I want to find on cobalt alloy. I want to find out the thesaurus term. As I remember the power amplifier example, I want to find out if there are any thesaurus term related to cobalt alloy. So here in this case, I find that cobalt alloys itself is actually a thesaurus term. And then I get more information on the structure, and then I add that to my search. You can see that by using the thesaurus, it's good that I narrowed down my search because I could make sure that this 63,000 records, cobalt alloy is the key concept. But it's always better to use even further indexes, like how I demonstrate using the IPC code or the chemical indexing to further narrow down my search. And this is what this search example is all about. We use the combination to make sure that we don't use the human factor. We use more the professional way to narrow down my result, because most often we just look through the first few pages and then maybe use some sorting to sort on publishers, etc. But like in Inspec, as I always try to stress that the professional way of research is to use indexes, not go through subjectively. Okay. So this is the example. And this, as I mentioned, that the users can download the list from the Inspec website in case if you always like to check which is the IPC code or which classification code should I use, or how I could work out the standard way to enter when I search on chemical indexing. We got a list that we could help the users. Okay, so I still got 15 minutes. If you'd like to know more about the different samples of the indexes, I'll be more than happy to share the more search examples. But I think it will be good that if you could consider setting up a trial access to Inspec database on EBSCOhost, so that you can better review the full platform functionality and how to search on the indexes. And then in the next session, I will introduce on Inspec Analytics. This is quite an exciting part, because we just installed or we just launched Inspec Analytics. This is a search enhancement to your existing subscription to Inspec database. In case if you are subscribed already, or in case if you are interested to know that other than the indexes, what we can provide. Here you go. Sorry. So there are cross-link from the EBSCOhost platform to Inspec Analytics, but this is the IET own platform of Inspec Analytics. So there's cross-link from the EBSCOhost. So as I mentioned, it's a search enhancement. It's not another product. It's part of the Inspec subscription. Okay, so it's based, the analysis insights is based on the two main indexes of Inspec. The analysis is based on the Inspec classifications and also Inspec control terms. The control terms is the same as the Inspec headings, as you have seen in the record itself. Okay, so what it could provide are insights. So what sort of insights? So first of all, I could search on a particular organization and get to know more about what are the strengths or what are the key research areas. Say, for example, recently I was in touch with one of the leading university in the Philippines, Polytechnic University of the Philippines in Manila. Actually, I've been there myself some years ago. I believe that it's grown a lot in the status. So, but still, I like to know more about the updated status. So in Inspec Analytics, when I make a search on PUP in the Philippines, so at the moment, Inspec Analytics is based on the number of articles in Inspec since 2013 onwards. Okay, so all the analysis and insights are based on the papers indexed in Inspec since 2013. So we could see the total number of articles from PUP and also the ranking and the growth. Okay. So if I'd like to know more about, I'm not sure if any one of you here are from NUS and Singapore, National University of Singapore. Okay, again, it shows a different ranking. So the ranking is based on the number of articles. It's all based on the number of articles included in Inspec. Growth since the last 8 years. And then it will also show the top research areas based on the Inspec control terms. Okay, so you can see that in NUS, the top research areas is I would say on nano fabrication and nano particles. Okay, and in biophysics. And we also see the number of articles which have the control term installed. So what it means is that from 2013 onwards, there are 11,000 articles authored by NUS which have the Inspec control term learning installed on the articles by our indexes. Okay. And then it will also show the ranking against other institutions which have papers indexed in Inspec with that control term. Okay, so a snapshot, we will see the main or the top research areas of NUS and also the top collaborations. How many co-author papers from NUS authors and the other institutions? So obviously, the top one will be A-star, NUS and A-star, and then the second one will be NUS authors. There's a lot of co-author papers between NUS and NTU, and also in SUTD, also in Singapore, and some of the universities. There are also collaborations between NUS and those in China as well. Okay, so this record can also be downloaded in PDF. So if you get access to Inspec Analytics, you can share it to your peer. Okay, and then we'll better understand the top research areas and how it ranks against others. So in case if I'd like to know more about a research area, for example, nanoparticles, what Inspec Analytics can show is also if this is a growing research area by looking at the curve, say from 2013 onwards, there are total 158,000 records in Inspec with that control term installed, nanoparticles. And then how many times we also got this citation information. The average citation of all those papers is 3.75. Okay, so we just installed the citation information in, I think in last month in February. So it gives some ideas whether the popularity of this research area, and also some of the cost or what we call the co-occurring concept, related control term. So obviously nanoparticles is related to nanofabrication a lot. So what it means is that there are 91,000 articles in Inspec since 2013, having both the control term nanoparticles and also nanofabrications. So you'll get to know more about the cost concept and also the top organizations. So who are the experts? Which are the expert institutions in nanoparticles? And surprisingly, you will find that the top institution with the most number of articles having the control term nanoparticles is in Iran, this one. I personally not heard of this one. Say for the users, this will lead them to more knowledge, because before you may not know about the top institution, but by having access to Inspec Analytics, you know more, not just on the organization, but also on the top journal titles and the top conferences. Okay, and based on the thesaurus structure, remember the Inspec thesaurus structure that I went through. We also can see some of the narrower term and some of the related terms related to nanoparticles. Okay, so there are lots of cross search opportunities in Inspec Analytics. In case if you like to know more about this particular institution. So other than nanoparticles, what they also focus on. So here we could cross search on the top control terms, top research areas for Islamic Azad University in Iran. Okay, but what it shows here is furthermore, this is something quite new. I think I'll only install in March. We will keep installing new functionality in Inspec Analytics. So before that, we don't have the citation information. And then we could now search on the author of a particular institution. Okay, so based on the control term nanoparticles, we could search for the top authors. So all these 2,627 articles from Islamic Azad University is by this number of authors. When we go into check, we could check the top authors within this particular institution. Okay. At the moment, we are trying to build a linking between EBSCOhost platform to Inspec Analytics. So what I mean is that we are trying to install all these functionalities, all these searching mechanism, insights, and whatever into EBSCOhost platform. So it will be more convenient, I would say, for the users. Say, for example, you after the search, you like to get to the articles by this particular author. At the moment, you cannot go through go straight to the articles. You need to copy and paste, do a lot of copy and paste. And then go back to the platform itself and then search on author. Okay. Oops, have I done something wrong? But anyway, this is how we need to go back to the platform itself. But we are trying to install the functionality. But in terms of what Inspec Analytics can offer is that it will broaden the horizon. I mean, broaden the knowledge of the users. So in case if you're not quite sure on a particular topic, we got the Inspec for source, but then we also got the Inspec Analytics to help the users. And I could even compare organization. Say, just as an example, I could compare up to 5 particular institutions. Chula University in Bangkok. I haven't explained on this circle representation. So when you look at the number of articles, so we got 4,000 total of 4,400 from Chula, authors by Chula, authors in Chula University since 2013, 13 in Inspec database. So we got 2,500 articles on physics based on the Inspec classification. So this represent the coverage of those 2,500 articles. Okay, so those articles covers about near to half of all the classification within physics, because physics is, of course, is the first level only. Okay, so when we look at the circle representation, the more complete the circle, the higher the coverage of that number of articles. Okay, so when we compare the organization, we don't just compare on the big area. If we want to look at the smaller areas, how these 3 universities do in physics, we could drill into the smaller subject areas under physics based on the Inspec classification. Say, if I just want to look at nuclear physics, okay, there's not much difference based on the graph. But when you look at the other areas of physics, the blue one, the blue color one, the one in Iran, still rank, comparing the 3 universities, still rank the top in most of the areas under physics. Okay, so there are lots of analysis you can brought in. You could compare the organization, check the author, and then also look at the top collaborating university of a particular institution. So you know, basically you could make better decision based on the analysis. Like, where should I focus my research on this area, or should I contact that particular author, or should I invest in this particular region, because later on we'll install the functionality for the users to know the research output of a particular region. So this is not available yet from Inspec Analytics. But as I mentioned, that we'll work with EBSCOhost and then build all this functionality into the platform. But the factor to consider is that when you get access to Inspec, or when you subscribe to Inspec, you get both. You get to search on EBSCOhost platform using the indexes to get the best result. And then you also get the insights and analysis from Inspec Analytics. Sorry, I'm just going through back to the PowerPoint itself. Okay, these are the slide which I want to come back. Like in all these insights will help us to make better decision. I've demonstrated on this, like a research on the control term of a particular institution, and then check the authors. And it also help us to better identify which are the top research areas. Like for example, it's quite interesting. We talk about 5G, but actually there are more and more researchers on a 6G already, although it's only 115 articles. But as you know, 6G is only not yet available, but you can see that some of the top institutions in 6G researchers is mostly from the universities in China. Okay. So that's how Inspec Analytics can help me to get some sort of research trend on a particular topic. Just one last slide I would like to show. And I go back to Inspec Analytics. So in general, as I mentioned, there are near to 10,000 Inspec headings, near to 10,000 thesaurus term, each having their own structure. So if we go to Inspec Analytics, search on the control term, so a snapshot will see the top control term based on the number of articles in Inspec. Okay, and the percentage growth. So obviously you will see the difference in AI. There has been a lot of growth in the last few years in terms of the number of research papers. Okay, so this is a quick snapshot. Which one is the most growing area? Okay, you can see the top one is 5G mobile communications and navigation. I find that even face recognition is also one of the top control term for. Okay, so that's about it of my presentation. I hope I did a good job for all of us to know why we need to use Inspec, why we need to use the unique indexes. If not, then you could always get some results. You could always get some content. But just to share that the more probable way to research is to make sure you get the best result. You don't compete in the quantity. If you get the quantity, you can go to Google. But for us to do professional research, it will be advisable to use some sort of indexes to search. And then next will be to use the analytical tool to make better decision. And in IET Inspec on EBSCOhost, I think the platform user friendliness and also the functionality combining with what we can offer on Inspec is a very good combination for all of us to consider. So in case if you're interested, please consult with your faculty or with your library. If you'd like to know more, of course, the EBSCO team locally is here to help you. Thank you for your time. That's all from me. And I think now it's Q&A time. In case if you like any questions you'd like to share.
Yeah, thank you, Adrian. I think we have a few questions in the chat. The first one is like, do you have the title list breakdown by subject for Inspec? Hello, Adrian. I think you are on mute.
Yeah, we got the full the title list, the journal title list. Let me see if I could find it here. Yep. So from our organizational website, we've got the full list of the journal titles cover or index in Inspec, and which ones are the open access journals. This one is the. I understand your question. It seems that we don't we haven't divided that in the subject areas or based on the Inspec classifications. So I only mentioned the publisher, but certainly I could contact my colleagues in UK and see if they have a full list of the journal titles divided in the main main Inspec classifications. So I'll get back to you on this with the title list.
Okay, yep. Thank you for your answer.
Sure.
And I think we have another here. As a customer, do we need to take both Inspec Index and Inspec Analytics if I want to subscribe? And is that any special bundle price for Index plus Analytics?
Oh, all right. So basically, we work with our EBSCOhost in a way that Inspec Analytics is part of the Inspec subscription. So when the library subscribe to Inspec, automatically you get the extra benefits. We add in the Inspec Analytics. This is a deal that we try not to be like the commercial content providers. So it's part of the Inspec subscription. So we could call it free.
That is really nice.
Yeah, we try to help the users because as an institution, we were not here. We only have the Inspec Analytics last year. We want to make sure that the users get the most benefits without paying the extra cost.
All right, great, Adrian. And the last question so far, how is Inspec differ from Scopus and Web of Science, in which most of the faculty prefer for like multidisciplinary research?
I totally understand this. When I just bear with me for 1 second. First of all, Scopus is similar to Inspec. I must admit that there are overlap. Okay, there are overlap on the content. It all depends on the budget, of course, but also depends on the offer or the major of a university. So if your university majoring in science and technology or computing and those areas, then I would say that Inspec will be more fitted compared to Scopus because you don't need to pay for the lesser used content. Okay, this is the first difference. And the secondly, let me show you on this one. I'm just trying to show you the Scopus platform. Well, I'm trying to access to the Scopus platform. It seems like I could not. I did that before because when I check, they don't have the in-depth indexes. They have the keywords. Of course, they search on the funding information or something. But if you're the user, you really need to get to the most relevant content. They don't have the specific indexes, not even IPC code. So in case if you are a patent examiners, you want to search on a content specifically on a particular patent code, I don't think Scopus will be able to do that. As I always mentioned, you could find some information, but it will take lots of time for the users to actually get to the best paper, the best articles. But what Inspec is unique is that we provide some unique indexes for the users. And this is the major difference between Inspec and Scopus. We add value to your research. We don't just get everything outside and then throw it into Inspec and then sell it. Every record has been installed additional indexes. First, for users to get the more knowledge on the search topic. And then secondly, you could use those indexes installed to get to the most relevant search on, like how I demonstrate using the chemicals and the IPC code. So again, let me emphasize that the major difference is that Inspec offer unique indexes, which Scopus doesn't have.
Yeah, Adrian, it is very good to know on how user focused it is. And here, Adrian, I think, yeah, no more question as of now. And I think Noah has something to say with you.
Yep. Thank you, Noah. I like to, before that, sorry, no, I'd like to also share that you now seeing the Scopus search. Well, first of all, I'm not sure if this version is the formal version. I search on Scopus. Okay, so when I search on Scopus, you will see that I could search based on the keywords or the author details or the affiliation or the funding. We don't have the funding comparatively, but in Inspec, as I mentioned, we could search on the IPC code and even those others I haven't mentioned, like the astronomical indexing. We also got the astronomical indexing, which help the users in aerospace engineering, because I want to search on, for example, articles on galaxies, okay? I enter galaxy, and then I'll get some articles, but some of them could be unrelated, because if I search on galaxy, I may get some articles on Samsung Galaxy, which talks about one of the products. I may also get some articles on one of the casino chain. I'm not sure if you know, one of the casino chain is called Galaxy. So that's how we really need to have the indexes. The astronomical indexing in Inspec will make sure that the articles will only focus on galaxy that's or related to aerospace or astrophysics, and not on the mobile model. Just an example. Yep, that's all.
Adrian, thank you very much for the presentation. I hope the participants have benefit from this session. We appreciate your attendance. We appreciate the feedbacks, and for questions which we did not have the time to respond, we will collect this and we will respond this to you. This is a recorded session, and we will send these recordings to all the participants. Once again, those who are interested to explore Inspec Analytics, please contact the respective EBSCO sales representative in your territory. We again appreciate Adrian's time, and we'll come back to you again for another session with EBSCO. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Keep safe.
Thank you all.